was known, I didn't want to use my name, so I signed the telegram Eva Lamont. Perry Mason's face showed quick interest. Then, he said, you are the one who sent the photograph by airmail, the photograph of the young woman. Bradbury nodded and fished a cigar from his waistcoat pocket. All right if I smoke? He asked. Perry Mason nodded in answer. He picked up the telephone on his desk, and when he heard Della Street's voice, said, Bring me that photograph that came yesterday, also the telegram that was signed Eva Lamont. He hung up the telephone, and as Bradbury clipped the end from his cigar, Perry Mason took a cigarette from a humidor on his desk. Bradbury scraped a match along the sole of his shoe and jumped from his chair to hold the light to Mason's cigarette. Then, still standing, he applied the flame to the end of his cigar and was just dropping the match into the ashtray on the desk when Della Street opened the door from the outer office and laid a legal jacket on Perry Mason's desk. Anything else? She asked. The lawyer shook his head. Della Street's eyes turned appraisingly to the well-tailored figure of the man who stood puffing on his cigar. Then she turned and left the room. As the door clicked shut, Perry Mason turned back the jacket and picked up a photograph which had been printed on glossy paper. It was the photograph of a young woman, showing her shoulders, hips, arms, and legs. The photograph did not show the young woman's face, but there could be no doubt of her youth from the willowy shape of her body, the graceful contours of her hands, and the sweep of leg which was displayed in the picture. The woman's hands held her skirts very high, showing a pair of slim legs. Underneath the picture was a typewritten caption which had been pasted to the photograph and which read, The Girl with the Lucky Legs. Clipped to the photograph was a telegram which read, Sending you special delivery, airmail, photograph of utmost importance in case I am about to present. Keep photograph and await me in your office without fail. Signed, Eva Lamont. Bradbury crossed to the desk, stared down at the photograph. The girl who posed for that photograph, he said, was tricked, robbed, and betrayed. Perry Mason looked not at the photograph, but at Bradbury's face, his eyes holding that steady, watchful scrutiny which seeks to uncover truth beneath a veneer of stage setting. It was the scrutiny of an attorney who had handled clients of all types, and who has learned to calmly and unhurriedly brush aside layers of falsehood in order to get at the real facts. Who is she? Mason asked. Her name, said Bradbury, is Marjorie Clune. You say she was tricked, robbed, and betrayed? Yes. And who is the person who is responsible for that? Frank Patton, said Bradbury. Perry Mason waved his hand toward the big leather chair which faced his desk. If, he said, you'll sit down and tell me about it from the beginning, we can probably make faster progress. There's one thing I want understood, Bradbury said, sitting down, and that is that whatever I tell you is going to be in confidence. Certainly, said Mason. My name is J.R. Bradbury. I live in Cloverdale. I was a heavy stockholder in the Cloverdale National Bank and was its president for many years. I am 42 years of age. Recently, I retired to devote my time exclusively to private investments. I am a substantial citizen of Cloverdale and can furnish you with any number of first-class references. Bradbury's voice held the close-clipped articulation of a man who is dictating. The lawyer watched him with eyes that seemed to penetrate the man's mind as X-rays penetrate human tissue. Marjorie Clune, went on Bradbury, is a young woman of character and beauty. She is an orphan. She was employed as a stenographer in my bank. She would probably have agreed to marry me within another month. Frank Patton came to town. He was a promoter. He claimed to be representing a motion picture company that was searching for a young woman of personality and beauty who could stand being advertised as the girl with the lucky legs. They were going to insure her legs for $2 million, release publicity about the most beautiful legs in the world. Did Patton say he had the authority to act for such a motion picture company? Mason asked. Bradbury smiled wearily as though he were telling something that he had repeated on many occasions. He had a contract with a motion picture producing company with offices here in the city. The contract